Hi there, I'm Dr. Melissa McCarthy, and today I'd like to talk to you about stress-free telepractice sessions. Since the beginning of COVID-19, a lot of professionals have quickly switched over to telepractice to try and maintain services for children and families. And most professionals didn't get a lot of support to do that. So telepractice became a really stressful experience during an already stressful time. In this video, I want to talk about how you can change that and achieve stress-free telepractice sessions from now on. We'll talk about 3 big problems that stop most early interventionists from getting stress-free telepractice, and we'll make sure that you have some strategies for overcoming those problems. So let's get started. Here's the first big problem that most early interventionists have. They struggle to keep children engaged. And we've all been there, right? The child won't look at the screen, or they move out of camera range, or they sit under the table where it's absolutely impossible to see them. Or maybe you've had the opposite problem where the child comes so close to the screen that you can only see one of their eyeballs. And if you do manage to get them in the frame, they don't attend for very long, or they won't take a turn, or they refuse to participate in any of your activities. Or even worse, they actually disconnect you from the session. And it's really frustrating. So the first big problem is, how do I keep kids engaged? Now, I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but a lot of the early interventionists I talk to have had that experience. The second big challenge is we're constantly having to create new materials. It feels like you always need something new and exciting to make your telepractice sessions interesting. The resources you used in person don't always translate to telepractice sessions, and many early interventionists spend too much time searching, sourcing, and creating materials. It is time-consuming, it is exhausting, and it shouldn't be that hard. And the third big problem for early interventionists is that the communication in telepractice sessions feels awkward and unnatural. We can't hear as well through technology, especially when we're talking to children. Sometimes the audio drops out and we miss important bits of information. The technology can get in the way of the natural flow of conversation, and we often end up talking over each other. We spend a lot of time requesting repetition and clarification instead of working on the session goals that we're trying to target. Now, I don't know if any of those problems sound familiar to you, but they are 3 critical issues that we need to solve if we want to have stress-free telepractice sessions. And that's what this video is all about. I'm going to share a simple model here that I think will help. This is our plan for having stress-free telepractice sessions. So remember, our 3 big problems. 1, kids aren't engaged. 2, we're constantly creating new materials. And 3, communication feels awkward. I'm going to give you 3 big picture solutions to those 3 problems, and then we'll break them down so you know exactly what to do for each one. First, we're going to start with engagement. Step 1 is going from kids who are not engaged to kids who are totally engaged. The first thing we need to do to get stress-free telepractice sessions is to keep kids totally engaged. In other words, kids are participating in sessions, they're learning new skills, and they're having fun. The second thing that we need to do is find a way to have all the resources we need right at our fingertips at any given moment without spending a ton of time and energy sourcing, searching, and creating materials before every session. And then the third step is establishing a practical and comfortable communication style. We're still going to use technology, but we're going to use technology to our advantage, so that our communication becomes less strained and more natural. So let's get really practical here and look at each of those 3 solutions in a bit more detail. If we want to keep kids engaged, there's 3 things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is keep kids interested in the session. But here's the thing, that doesn't mean keeping them interested in the screen. The screen isn't where the session happens. So if you want to keep kids interested, treat the screen like a window into the child's world. Next, sessions will be a lot less stressful when kids are focused. And the best way to help kids focus is to connect with them when they are alert and ready to learn. So if you want kids to be focused during your sessions, choose the right time to connect. And the third thing we want is for kids to be responsive during our sessions. We want them joining in, participating, and taking turns. Here's the secret. It's okay if kids don't respond to us. In fact, we don't need to be the most interesting person in the session. So if you want kids to be responsive, make the parent the most interesting adult in the session. When you treat the screen as a window, choose the right time for your sessions, and make the parent the most interesting adult, the kids will be totally engaged in your sessions and you will start to feel your stress just melt away. Let's look at the second big problem. We are spending a ton of time and energy searching for and creating new materials. We need a way to have all the resources we need right at our fingertips at any given moment. The aim of this section is to reduce the amount of time and energy you're spending on resource production and set you up for stress-free telepractice sessions. Just because you're using technology to deliver your sessions doesn't mean you need to create a whole new set of digital resources. You already have a toolbox full of tried and tested resources. So why reinvent the wheel? The first step is to use existing materials that you already have. The second step is to reduce your prep time, and the easiest way to do that is to use familiar activities. Children learn through repetition, so we don't need to create new and exciting activities for every session. Instead, we can save time by using everyday activities that children and families are already familiar with. And finally, the third step is to generate new ideas without depleting all of your brain power. Here's the trick. You don't have to source and create all of the session activities by yourself. Parents are the experts on their child, and they know what their child enjoys. So encourage the parents to contribute their ideas. When we do those three things, use our existing materials, use familiar activities, and encourage the parents to contribute, we reduce our effort, we save time, and we minimize fatigue. And the best part is we have all the resources we need for a stress-free telepractice session. Now, we have one more problem to solve, and it is a big one. Communication can feel awkward in telepractice. So instead, we want to create natural, relaxed conversations. The best way to do this is to deliberately plan the way we interact with families. And I'm going to give you 3 strategies to help you do that. First, we're going to intentionally build rapport. We do this naturally when we're in the same room with parents, but in telepractice, we spend too much valuable time focused on troubleshooting instead of relationship building. So if you want communication to feel relaxed and natural, start by intentionally building rapport. Next, we're going to make sure that our messages are understood. This is your opportunity to take advantage of the technology. Telepractice encourages visual communication, so make the most of it. Use nonverbal cues to enhance your communication. The third thing we're going to do is improve the flow of conversation. In telepractice, we often find ourselves talking over each other because of technology delays. But if we develop our listening skills, we can eliminate those awkward moments when everyone is talking at the same time. So, This is your pathway. 3 steps to stress-free telepractice sessions. Step 1, totally engaged kids. How do we do it? First, we treat the screen as a window. Then we choose the right time for sessions. And finally, we make the parent the most interesting adult in the session. Once we do that, kids will be interested, focused, and responsive, and they will be totally engaged in your sessions in a way that is less stressful for everyone. Step 2, tons of resources. We do that by using existing materials, repeating familiar activities, and encouraging the parent to contribute. When you do these 3 things, you've solved problem 2, and you have plenty of go-to resources without the time and stress of constantly sourcing and creating them. And then step 3, natural communication. We can create that natural style by building rapport, using nonverbal cues, and developing our listening skills. When you do that, relationships are stronger, messages are understood, and the conversations flow. The stress of awkward communication just disappears. So if you follow those 3 steps and the strategies for each step, you'll be on your way to stress-free telepractice sessions.